Hi, today we are going to talk about bringing class in our speech. Class is not just about how you dress or carry yourself. It's reflected in the words you choose. Certain phrases and habits in speech can make or break your elegance. Today, let's explore words that exude class and habits that help you speak with sophistication. Elegance isn't about using complicated words, it's about choosing thoughtful, precise, and refined language. Start small, practice those habits, and you'll notice how your words begin to reflect class and sophistication. This video really captures the essence of classy speech, so do make it a point to watch it till the end because there are some really good pointers in there. You can substitute these words, these phrases that I'm going to be talking about, these small changes that we're going to be discussing that you can bring in your speech so that there's a noticeable change in your day-to-day language, in the way you talk and how it is perceived by other people. Speech is a reflection of your mindset. Small refinements in your language can open doors to better relationships, help you gain respect in social and professional settings. Before we begin, there's a small question for you. Do you ask, "Where's the toilet?" in public? Do you do that? Then watch out for the bonus tip in the video. Let's begin now. Add rather to your vocabulary. And this is actually something that I learned to substitute in my language. I see a noticeable change in the way I speak by learning these small things, and adding rather to my vocabulary has actually made me gain something in here, I feel. And this is something that I want to teach you right in the beginning of this video. Adding the word rather to your vocabulary could be a great way to sound different. It can make your speech sound less rigid. So this is not something most people do, but it's a great way. It's a versatile word that helps you replace overly casual phrases with more thoughtful phrases. Let's look at how it can be incorporated into everyday conversations. I'll teach you. So here's your example number 1. To express preference, instead of "I prefer tea over coffee," you could say, "I'd rather have tea than coffee." So instead of "he's very talkative," you could say "he's rather talkative." So you could also use rather in place of very. Okay, another use could be, instead of saying "that's bad behavior," you could say "that's rather inappropriate." So just a small change in the words that you're using. And of course, the change that you see here is noticeable. Another one is, "it's wrong to say that." I could say, "I'd rather not say it that way." So, small change. So you notice how small changes can bring so much class to your everyday conversations. Next is, and a very important point that we are not very careful with in our day-to-day lives, but I would want to draw your attention to it, is use of positive framing of sentences. You look at the examples to learn this better. Reframe negative statements into positive ones to sound more composed and solution-oriented. So instead of saying, "I don't know," say, "let me find out for you." Okay? Instead of saying, "I can't do that," how about you say, "I'll see what I can do to help." Just a small shift from negative to positive, and the difference it brings to your speech. Next is, "this won't work." How about you say, "let's explore some other options." Instead of, "I don't like this idea. I think we could consider a different approach." Instead of, "I don't understand," say, "could you clarify that for me?" Instead of, "I'm not available," say, "can we schedule this for another time?" Positive framing shifts the focus from problems to possibilities. They make your speech sound more constructive and confident. It encourages collaboration. That means you're working with somebody towards a possibility, towards a solution, rather than highlighting problems. It makes you come across as an individual who's more friendly, amicable. Avoid "like," "you know," as fillers. Personally, I'm not very fond of using the crutch words myself. I'd rather take pauses. If I were to think for a second what I have to say next, I would pause. Pauses actually bring a lot of gravity to what you're saying. They bring weight to your words. On the other hand, if you keep using words like, like, it gets very annoying for people who are talking to you or who are listening to you. They do not respect you much because they understand you do not have a very good command over your language. You do not come across as confident because when you're relying too much on crutch words, on fillers, what you're actually doing is you're just trying to hide your nervousness. You do not want people to perceive you as somebody who is not very good with thoughts. And that is why you rely heavily on the usage of these words. Sometimes I'm watching a YouTube channel, I'm watching a good video, and then there is this interview by somebody who's just too much, like. I'm sorry, but it's just too difficult to follow. It's like I'm only listening to your fillers, to the fillers of the person who's speaking on the video, and I'm not actually focusing on the thought that's being delivered in the video. Reducing filler words is a powerful way to make your speech sound more polished and purposeful. Let's explore how cutting out these verbal crutches can transform the way you communicate. Instead of, I was like totally shocked, you could say, I was genuinely astonished. I was like so happy to see her. You could say, I was absolutely delighted to see her. It's like a really good idea. You could say, it's an excellent idea. He was, super angry at me. You could say, he was visibly upset with me. It's like, the best place I've ever been. You could say, it's the finest place I've ever been. I was, so tired after the trip. I was exhausted after the trip. Another one is use of full forms instead of abbreviations. What do I mean by this? Again, I have some good examples to teach you this. Like instead of saying congrats, saying congratulations, by consciously choosing the complete form, your speech gains an air of thoughtfulness. Instead of pic, say picture. Instead of info, say information. Doc, doctor. Prep, how about you say preparation? Instead of ASAP, as soon as possible. Next way you could bring elegance in your speech is to avoid over exaggeration. Steer clear of unnecessary hyperbole unless it's truly warranted. Now, what is a hyperbole? Hyperbole is a figure of speech that involves obvious exaggeration to emphasize a point. It's not meant to be taken literally. Something like, this bag weighs a ton. Or, I've told you a million times. Like, of course, if I'm saying, I've told her a million times, is it actually possible that I would say something to her 10 lakh times? No, it's a hyperbole. This bag weighs a ton. How is it even possible this could weigh a ton? It cannot, right? So I'm just over exaggerating the sentiment to bring more drama into my talk. So instead of, I've told you a million times, you could say, I've mentioned this several times. Instead of, I'm starving to death, you could say, I'm famished. Famished is such a good word. If you're very hungry, use famished. Instead of, this is the worst day ever. How do you know? Really? This is quite a challenging day. Instead of, this happens every single time. How about you say, this happens quite often? Instead of, this is the best thing in the world. This is truly wonderful. By avoiding hyperbole, your speech becomes more credible, thoughtful, and refined. It also helps others take your words seriously without feeling the need to filter out exaggeration. You get the idea now, right? Next one on the list is replacing slangs with polished words. I know it's the way world operates and slangs is the way people talk to each other these days. But since we're talking about elegance and we're talking about class in our communication, it is very important that you start substituting these slangs with some good polished words. Slang might feel trendy and relatable, but it often diminishes the elegance of your speech. While it's fine for casual conversations, relying too heavily on slang can make you appear less articulate or polished. Let's explore some common slang phrases and their more polished alternatives to help you communicate with class and clarity. Instead of, that's lit, how about you say, that's remarkable? She's killing it. Say, she's excelling. That outfit is fire. Say, that outfit is stunning. No cap, it's true. Say, it's genuinely true. He's so chill. How about you say, he's so composed? This food slaps. Say, this food is exceptional. Another point on the list, which I guess is getting out of fashion, is usage of polite language. This was something that we were taught as little children. We should not deprive ourselves and our future generations of being taught this and being reminded of this. Polite language is a cornerstone of elegance in communication. Cornerstone means an essential element of something. By using courteous phrases and tone, you not only enhance the quality of your conversations, but also leave an impression of grace and charm that lasts forever. Let's see some examples. Use may and could more often. This idea was taught to me in school as a little girl. If you say, do this to somebody, it has an air of superiority. On the other hand, could you do this for me? Shows you are a humble person. Making request, you could say, instead of give me the file, just say, could you please share the file with me? When you have to disagree, instead of you're wrong, say, I see your point, but I have a different perspective. When you have to apologize, sorry, I'm late. How about you say, I sincerely apologize for the delay. When you have to express gratitude, instead of saying thanks, say, thank you so much. I truly appreciate it. When you have to interrupt somebody, which you should not do, but in case you really have to, instead of saying, wait, I have something to say. How about you say, I'm sorry to interrupt, but may I add something? When you have to decline an invitation, instead of saying, I can't come. How about you say, I'm afraid I won't be able to join, but thank you for inviting me. When you have to end conversations, instead of saying, I have to go, say, it's been lovely talking to you. I hope we can catch up again soon. Politeness is not just about using the right words. I hope you get it. It's about creating an atmosphere of warmth and respect in every interaction. It shows that you value others. It can take you a long way in your relationships. Next point on the list is substituting overused casual words. Our daily conversations are often peppered with casual words like nice, good, great. While these words are easy to use, they lack the depth that can make your speech stand out. By replacing these overused casual terms with more polished and precise alternatives, you can instantly elevate the elegance of your language. Let's look at how small adjustments can make a big difference in the way you express yourself. Instead of using cool, use fascinating or splendid or charming. Instead of awesome, which is again really common these days, use extraordinary, marvelous, or outstanding. Instead of nice, use pleasant, delightful, gracious. Instead of good, use exceptional, remarkable, impressive. Instead of bad, use unfortunate. Instead of great, use splendid, magnificent, admirable. Instead of fine, use acceptable. Instead of happy, use elated, overjoyed. Instead of sad, use heartbroken, disheartened. Instead of tired, use weary, exhausted. Instead of angry, use agitated, enraged. So here you have it. Really good words. I'm also using a very repetitive word, but anyway, you get the idea. Next point on the list is to avoid using very too often. While the word very can emphasize your point, using it too often can dilute the strength of your language. Instead, consider replacing it with precise words that convey your message more effectively. This simple shift can make your speech sound much more refined and impactful. Instead of very beautiful, you could say exquisite. She's exquisite. Her dress is exquisite. Instead of very cold, you could say it's freezing. Instead of very hot, you could say it's scorching. Instead of very clean, say spotless. Instead of very funny, you could say it's hilarious. Instead of very important, you could say it's crucial. Another tip is to use terribly instead of very. Instead of saying, I'm very tired, you could say, I'm terribly tired. You get the idea, right? But it won't fit everywhere, so you've got to be a little careful where you're using it. I have several videos on this topic. Feel free to search right after you're through with this one. But first, watch this one. Next is overuse of the words totally, completely, so. These three words often come up in our conversations. There are certain words we often overuse without realizing it. These words can make our speech sound repetitive. More refined alternatives could be quite or entirely or utterly, which convey emphasis without making you sound repetitive. For instance, instead of saying, I'm completely sure about it, you could say, I'm quite certain about it. Instead of saying, I totally enjoyed the book, you could say, I thoroughly enjoyed the book. Instead of, I'm completely exhausted, I'm entirely worn out, or I'm entirely exhausted, that would also do. Instead of, I was completely surprised, you could say, I was utterly astonished. Instead of, I totally understand, you could say, I fully understand. Simple. Next one on the list is use of polished greetings, the way you open conversations with people, the way you greet them, the way you say hi to them. Elegant greetings convey warmth and respect. It is good to avoid overly casual and rushed phrases. Elegant greetings set the tone of the interaction. They show effort and attentiveness. Here's how you can elevate your greetings. Instead of, hi there, say hello, simple. Instead of hi, use good morning or good evening. I personally feel that I mostly greet people with a hello because I find it more formal. I like it that way. So, whenever I have a meeting with anybody or I am on a Zoom call, I usually say, hello, how are you? Or hello, how is it going? Something like that. Instead of saying, hi. Hi is too informal. Instead of saying, what's up? You could say, how are things on your end? Or what's been keeping you busy lately? Enrich your vocabulary. Replace common phrases with richer expressions to sound more polished. It makes you sound more professional. Instead of saying, it's really important, you could say, it's of utmost importance. Instead of saying, I'm very happy, you could say, I'm absolutely delighted. Instead of, it's really good, you could say, it's truly exceptional. So I'm just talking about bringing a little upgrade to your vocabulary here. Instead of saying, that's a big problem, you could say, that's a significant issue. Instead of, I'm not sure, say, I'm uncertain. Instead of, it's really bad, say, it's unacceptable. Instead of, I'm really sorry, you could say, I sincerely apologize. Instead of, I need your advice, I would appreciate your guidance. I need to go now. I must excuse myself. Now, this is the last point on the list, as I told you, the bonus point for you. When you're in public, avoid asking for a toilet. Using the word toilet in public can sometimes come across as blunt or less refined. You can choose alternatives that are subtle and polite, especially in formal or public settings. Restroom or ladies' room, or on the other hand, men's room, is more sophisticated that way. Opt for terms like restroom or washroom when you're not very sure as to what you should ask, as they strike a balance between clarity and elegance. So that was it. I hope you learned something nice from all the tips that I had on this video. Tell me that one thing that you feel can really add a lot of elegance to your speech. Share it with the rest of the people, and you probably might stand out at the top of the comment section. I would love to see your comments. Thank you very much for watching the video till the end, and I'll see you in my next one. Bye bye.